Hey guys, today's topic is Auditory Disruption server. So we're going to talk about the server and the application a little bit today. The previous video I did about the Windows-based server had a little less features, and seeing it's a new year, I figured we should go ahead and kind of upgrade it and move it kind of into the direction I foresee the application working for the users, the end users, which is you guys. So currently, we do all the stuff that we did before. We have a rebuild button, and the rebuild button goes through all of the folders that we have in our folder list here for the configuration, looks for all of the tracks, and pulls the ID3 tags like the artist, title, and the album, as well as saving the path. That's the same. The next step is the get all Spotify data. So it's going to go through that entire list, and we'll get it started here. It's going to go through every single song, and it's going to query Spotify's API for the artist and title and try and find the most popular track. Now that popular track will have a Spotify ID. Now that ID we can then use to associate the attributes that Spotify has. Now they don't have all of the songs if you don't pay for the service, so I'm gonna have to look into that in the future. See if there's maybe if I can get some kind of public license or something that I can just use for the application, or I have to figure something out completely. But the right now what happens is it will grab as many of the songs as it can, pulls down the attributes of the song. So what the attributes are is things like a valence and a tempo, the energy of the song, the likelihood it's an acoustic or a live track, things like that, that their servers have actually analyzed the songs. Now, that data we can use to do what's called a nimble list. And now the nimble list is something I've created for this, and it is the main goal of this application. So I got tired of loading individual playlists onto my phones. So the nimble list, what it's going to do is it's going to ask the server for like songs. So the nimble list is actually a root song. So whatever song you choose, I envision in the application on either the song list or the media player, you can click a button or icon and say I want a nimble list based on this track. Now, as long as that track has a Spotify ID, it will query the server, and the server will spit back every song within a certain range that is like that song. Right now it's a 10% variance on the energy of the song, plus or minus, as well as a 30 beats per minute difference, 15 below and above difference from that source track. So it will go through, check it. If it passes the test, it adds it to a list, and when it's done, it spits it all back to the application. This list varies depending on what song you choose. So if you have a different song, it will give you potentially different songs, even add in a couple other ones if you choose. Let's say if you have you choose a root song and then you're going through that list and you find another one, you could add that song as a nimble list, and it will maybe have some of the same songs, probably have most of the same songs, and maybe add a couple new ones. Now the cool feature is that that list will change. So as you add songs and you check for new Spotify IDs, it's also going to build the attributes so that the next time you pull that nimble list from the server, it's going to add potentially more songs that fit within the variant. So it will just constantly evolve as your library evolves. Alright, so that's done. So that was the long test. That was only 198 songs. The 26,000 songs that I have, it took roughly 4.5 hours to process, and that was the long one. That's because it has to do one song at a time. The downfall to that is that their API only allows about 10 requests per second. So right now what we're doing is we're sending a request and just one at a time, and waiting for a response from the server. I'll probably try and work on doing a queue type of a system and just spit them out as fast as they can retrieve it, and so that we don't hit their limit. If we hit their limit, it will basically tell us to wait so many seconds or whatever, and Yeah, it was fun. So the next spot, which it did after getting the Spotify idea, was the audio features. So now the audio features, it can actually query them 50 at a time. So it will go through and create a list of 50 blocks of Spotify IDs, query the server, and then it will get all those attributes, the tempo and the energy and all that kind of stuff, and save it as a database with that Spotify ID, and that's what it will use to create your playlist. So that's what we've gotten so far, and the application is getting worked on. I basically restarted it. Originally, I was using SQLite, which comes with Android, and I've been informed of a thing called Realm, and Realm's only been around for what, like a year or so, and it has way better performance, and I figure it would be a lot easier to code with. So I'm working on replacing all the SQL stuff with Realm so that I can handle all of this stuff and save it locally on the phone, so that only if your playlist is updated will it do everything again and reload it. Otherwise, you're just loading it locally. So there'll be no more internet traffic once you've got the updated version. Yeah, so if you have any questions or comments you would like to give, tips or anything that you have, comments on where you want the features kind of to point towards, like what you want to see, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to like and subscribe and keep up to date on all future updates. I'm going to try and get these out every couple of weeks if I can and show the status. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll have the app running to the point where the media player is working, and we can actually demo how the system works again. I used to be able to do it, but now that I've changed so much, I have to remake the application from scratch, and yeah, it was just a big mess to edit, so it was just quicker for me to recreate it. So anyways, without further ado, enjoy, and we'll see you guys later, and Happy New Year.